Have you ever wondered if you might be a psychopath? Now, before you recoil in shock, it's worth mentioning that the word psychopath is often misunderstood. It's not just about the villains we see in movies or the infamous criminals splashed across the news. Psychopathy is a complex personality disorder, a multifaceted condition that manifests in different ways. So, it's not as black and white as you might think. In this video, we're going to delve into the intriguing world of psychopathy. We're not here to label or judge, but rather to educate and inform. We'll discuss the signs of being a psychopath in a non-threatening, conversational manner. Who knows, you might even discover traits you never knew you had. But remember, it's all part of the fascinating and diverse spectrum of human behavior. Do you dare to explore the signs of psychopathy? Let's embark on this journey of understanding together. Before we dive into the signs, let's understand what psychopathy is. Psychopathy. It's a term that's often thrown around in popular culture, typically associated with characters who are cold, manipulative, and even violent. But what exactly does it mean to be a psychopath? Psychopathy is a complex personality disorder, a kind of mental health condition that's marked by a cluster of specific traits. These traits include enduring antisocial behavior, diminished empathy and remorse, and bold, disinhibited, and egotistical tendencies. Picture it like this. Imagine you're at a party and there's someone who's the life of the event. Fearless, charming, and utterly charismatic. But beneath that surface charm there's a lack of genuine emotional connections, a disregard for the rights of others, and a tendency towards manipulative and selfish behavior. That, in a nutshell, is psychopathy. Now, it's important to note that psychopathy isn't an all-or-nothing condition. It's not a switch that's either on or off. Instead, think of it as a spectrum, a sliding scale, if you will. Some people might exhibit a few psychopathic traits while others might show a higher number of these behaviors. And just how common is psychopathy? Well, studies suggest that about 1% of the general population meets the criteria for psychopathy. That might not sound like much, but in a world of over 7 billion people, that's a significant number. Also, it's worth pointing out that not everyone who shows signs of psychopathy is a danger to society. Many people with psychopathic traits are able to function in society without causing harm. They might even hold positions of power and influence. That being said, it's when these traits are combined with a propensity for violence or criminal behavior that things can become problematic. Now that we have a basic understanding of psychopathy, let's move on to the signs. So, what are the signs that you might be a psychopath? We'll dive into this by exploring a tool called the Psychopathy Checklist, developed by renowned psychologist Dr. Robert Hare. This checklist is widely accepted in the psychological community as a reliable way to identify psychopathic traits. Now remember, this is not a tool for self-diagnosis, but rather a point of discussion to gain insight into the realm of psychopathy. First up on the list is glibness and superficial charm. This is often characterized by a smooth-talking nature and an engaging personality. Psychopaths are often very charismatic, able to charm and manipulate those around them with ease. They may come across as very likable, making it easier for them to manipulate others. Next, we have manipulative behavior. Psychopaths are often very cunning and scheming, capable of bending others to their will without them even realizing it. They use their charm and intelligence to get what they want, regardless of the consequences for others. A grandiose sense of self-worth is another common trait. Psychopaths often have an inflated sense of their own importance. They see themselves as superior to others and believe they are entitled to special treatment. This sense of entitlement often leads to a disregard for the rights and feelings of others. Then we have pathological lying. This goes beyond just telling a fib now and then. Psychopaths are master manipulators who use lies as a tool to control and deceive others. Their lies can be so convincing that they often believe them themselves. Another trait is a lack of remorse or guilt. While most of us feel guilty when we do something wrong, psychopaths don't. They lack empathy for others and feel no remorse for their actions, no matter how much harm they cause. The last trait we'll discuss today is impulsivity. Psychopaths often act without thinking about the consequences. They're prone to making rash decisions and taking risks, often leading to harmful outcomes for themselves and others. Understanding these traits can help us better comprehend the mind of a psychopath. It's important to remember, though, that not everyone who exhibits these traits is a psychopath. Everyone can display some of these behaviors at times, but it's the consistent pattern and intensity of these traits that may indicate psychopathy. Also, it's worth noting that mental health is a complex field, and people are far more nuanced than a checklist can capture. If you or someone you know consistently exhibits many of the traits we've discussed, it may be beneficial to seek professional help. Recognize any of these traits in yourself? If you do, don't panic. Remember, this checklist is not a diagnostic tool but a framework to understand the complex nature of psychopathy. As we move forward, we'll explore the notion that not all psychopathic traits are inherently negative. But that's a topic for our next scene. Although these signs might seem alarming, it's important to note that not all psychopaths are dangerous or criminal. Now, this may come as a surprise, but certain traits associated with psychopathy can actually be beneficial in specific contexts. Let's take the business world, for instance. Traits like boldness, fearlessness, and the ability to make quick decisions without getting bogged down by emotions can be valuable assets. These characteristics can lead to effective leadership and strategic thinking, driving success in high-stakes environments. It's not uncommon to find individuals with psychopathic traits in positions of power and influence. They're often charismatic, confident, and able to easily manipulate situations to their advantage. But again, this doesn't mean they're inherently bad. In fact, some of the world's most successful entrepreneurs and leaders exhibit these traits. And let's not forget, our world thrives on balance. It's the mix of different personalities that fuels creativity, innovation, and progress. So, while these traits may seem intimidating on the surface, they can contribute positively to society when harnessed effectively. However, this is not to glorify or romanticize psychopathy. It's crucial to remember that these traits, when unchecked or in the wrong hands, can lead to harmful behaviors. It's about understanding the complexity of human behavior and appreciating the diversity of our psychological makeup. Now, you might be pondering, I can be bold and fearless. Does that mean I'm a psychopath? Remember, having some of these traits does not necessarily mean you're a psychopath. Psychopathy is a complex condition that involves a specific combination of traits and behaviors, and it's not something that can be self-diagnosed based on a few characteristics. In fact, if you or someone you know is displaying multiple signs of psychopathy and it's causing distress or harm, it's important to seek help from a mental health professional. They are trained to understand, assess, and manage such conditions. It's all about perspective, isn't it? Our traits, good or bad, are part of what makes us unique. They shape our interactions, our decisions, and ultimately our lives. So let's not hastily label or judge. Instead, let's strive for understanding and compassion. Remember, only a professional can diagnose psychopathy. Alright, let's recap what we've learned today. We started our journey by pondering psychopathy, a complex personality disorder that's often misunderstood. Delving deeper, we found that psychopathy is characterized by persistent antisocial behavior, impaired empathy and remorse, and bold, disinhibited, and egotistical traits. It's not something to be taken lightly or used as a casual label. We moved on to understand psychopathy in detail, laying out the foundation of what it truly means to be a psychopath. It's not about being evil or malicious, rather it's a condition that affects a person's ability to relate to others on an emotional level. We discovered that psychopaths can be intelligent, charming, and persuasive, which can make them difficult to spot. Next, we discussed the Psychopathy Checklist, a diagnostic tool used by professionals to identify signs of psychopathy. This includes traits like manipulative behavior, lack of guilt or remorse, shallow emotions, and a disregard for the rights of others. We emphasized that this checklist should not be used for self-diagnosis, but rather to increase understanding and awareness. We also explored the concept that being a psychopath doesn't necessarily mean one is destined for a life of crime or immorality. There are many successful individuals who exhibit traits of psychopathy, but channel them in a non-harmful way. This was our Not All Bad segment, highlighting the importance of not stigmatizing or fearing people simply based on a diagnosis. So, are you a psychopath? Only you can decide if these signs resonate with you. But remember, self-diagnosis isn't a substitute for professional help. If you suspect you might have a personality disorder, seek help from a mental health professional. It's about understanding yourself better and seeking the necessary support to live a healthy, fulfilling life. Don't let a label define you or limit your potential. Reach out, seek help, and remember, everyone has their own unique journey.